is a circular cylinder, has a radius and a height. During this segment, we will talk about volume. Volume is the measure of the space of a region. And do not forget that volume is measured then in cubic units. So we'll do some examples, but first let's review some volume formulas. Let's look at the following. Here we have the rectangular solid. Remember, it has height, width, and length, and the volume is equal to length times width times height. We can write it as V equals L times W times H. Next we have a cube, which is just a special type of rectangular solid, and the volume of a cube is side times side times side, so we can write that volume as S for side cubed. Then we have a sphere. The volume of a sphere equals 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. So we can write that as 4/3 times pi times r cubed. There is a circular cylinder, has a radius and a height, and the volume is equal to pi times radius squared times height, and we can write it as volume equals V equals pi times r squared times h. Then we have the solid that is a cone. The volume is 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height, and we can write that as V equals 1/3 times pi times r squared times h. And finally, a square-based pyramid, and the volume equals 1/3 times side squared times height. So that is 1/3 times s squared times h. Let's practice using these volume formulas by finding the volume of some solids. Here's my first solid. Remember, it's a rectangular solid. I want to find the volume, the amount of space within or enclosed by this solid. So to do so, we use the volume formula for a rectangular solid, which is length, I'll use L, times width, I'll use W times height, I'll use H. And then we just fill it in. Length is 6 inches. Width, I'll use 4 inches. And then height, I'll use 3 inches. And then you multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 times 3 is 72. So this is 72. And then inches times inches times inches, that's where we get that cubic inches. So that's 72 cubic inches. That is the volume of this rectangular solid. Let's continue. We're just practicing finding volumes of different solids. So I have a particular solid here. It is a sphere. I want to find the volume of this sphere. So first you need to remember or look up the volume formula, and the volume is 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. Now we're going to find the exact volume, and then we'll use an approximation for pi and find an approximate volume. But let's concentrate on finding the exact volume first. So this volume is equal to 4/3 times pi times, now if the diameter of this sphere is 10 inches, its radius is half that, so the radius is 5 inches. Now I'll write cubic inches when I'm through with the formula, but right now I'm just going to write the 5 down, and let's continue then. Let's see, 5 cubed is 125, and 125 times 4, perhaps I'm going too fast. Let me write that down. I'm now multiplying these two together. So numerator times, think of it like that if you'd like. 4 times 125 is 500. So I have 500 over 3 pi, and that is cubic inches. That is the exact volume of that particular sphere. Now I'm going to use the approximation 22/7 for pi and find an approximate volume. So let me go ahead and write this a little bit higher now. That is my exact volume. So it's 500/3 pi cubic inches. And now, now we are approximating, because now instead of pi, I'll write 22/7, which is an approximation. This is still cubic inches, but let's continue with this. And then this equals 500 times 22, that is 11,000 over 3 times 7, 21. And if we write that as a mixed number, I'll let you do the arithmetic. Divide 21 into 11,000, and you'll have that it's 523 and 17/21. That's my fraction part of my mixed number, and that is cubic inches. So exact volume, approximate volume. Make sure you know the difference. And this is when I approximated right there. Let's continue finding volumes. The next volume I want to find is of a shape called, what is this shape called again? It is a cylinder. So we need to remember or look up the formula for volume of a cylinder. And the volume formula is pi times radius squared times height, or however you want to think of that, 9 inches length if you want to think of it. Let's now calculate